So we're on to possible designs here. What I would do is I would print off a blank page with the heading at the top of the page saying possible design 1 in the same format that you would have used for the heading of all other chapters to keep them the same. And then I would leave the rest of the page blank and start into sketching your possible design. You can add notes and extra detail, but I would start on your new blank page with the sketch of the whole design after your heading. So somewhere up here will be the heading in the format now we're very bright there. I'm going to try and lighten things. That's better. So I would start on this page with as much of a full page sketch as possible to give yourself space and enough space to put in some detail. So this first The possible solution, as you can see, is very basic. With no decorations on legs here. You can get the general gist of what we're doing. It's a mini table. But the legs are square and the top is square, and I put in a bit of detailing on the stem because it's going to be turned round to round on the lathe. But it's very simple. It's not great. It's not very good, but that's because it's the possible solution number one. The next solution is going to be an improvement on this. We're going to do something to it to make it better, such as maybe round the edges or put a detail on the square edge. We could put some detail onto the feet. We could do a nicer design on the stem, but that will all be detailed in possible designs too. Now this alone this is fine, but it's just the very start. We've no notes in here yet. That's not good enough. We need to put in notes. We also maybe need to explode up a few views. I'm going to look at the bottom of the page here now, and there's probably enough space there maybe to highlight, shall we say, the feet. And we're going to say in large detail or more detail. More detailed view of the feet. Very, very, very subtle shading efforts. Just to show maybe grain direction. Yellows, browns, orange usually will be good enough. Just to make it look like timber. We can do the feet as well, but just to give you an impression of blank pages, blank drawings, rather than something with a bit of color in it. Much, much nicer. Get a bit pedantic, I suppose, where we can label the parts. Possibly go for pen here. I would suggest something like this. I have 12 on the edge here, so I'm going to come in each time as far as 8. Top. 12. There's 8. Stem. Start at 8. Into their feet. I suppose what we could do here, even though you can't see it, is we could do something like this. Showing you that up there is supports. Now, I haven't drawn anything regarding support yet. So, like I said, we will go into more detail. And for something like this, we need to move on to the second page. Again, at the very top, we will still have our blank page printed off. Awesome solution 1. And you could print these, but if you're going to include some diagrams, handwritten will work fine, unless you can print the notes and leave the spaces for the diagrams. So we could keep going here, and we talk about how the top will be put on and countersinking and pre-drilling the screws, making sure that the screws are the correct length to just go through the support and into the tabletop and not protrude through it. We would talk a bit about how we would use glue to make sure the joints are solid after they've been glued and that they're put in a vise. And we would add in any other images that we would need to explain all that. So that would work your way down the page. So maybe I'm just going to leave a gap and put in another example of a diagram that may be needed, where maybe we would talk about having the tabletop. And we could put it in upside down. Just use the pencil, it's a bit heavier. So there's our tabletop, and we could put in then that we need so we could talk about maybe having a little hole here. There'll be a broken line going down through it to show that it goes all the way down. And then over here we could show just the dot there and maybe the drill bit. There's the drill bit. Just in order to give it a bit of vibrancy again. The difference between that. And let's make this a dark green tool. And maybe the battery is black. And it's got grips across it there, something like that, and a black on-off switch. And again, just a little bit of brown. Growth lines. Most of our stuff is yellow, just to highlight it. Bring it up off the page. Looks so much better. Gives you so many more marks. So if you ran out of space, obviously you've gone to a third page, no problem with that, no problem using up pages. And we will put in here, obviously, notes explaining what this is. This is a cordless drill. Pre-drilling. Pre-drilling the holes for screws. So yeah, I mean, a bit more detail, but drawing your full diagram, full idea of what you want, expand on it a bit, showing some details, color, add color, Put in your notes as to how the whole thing would be made, explaining anything that might be slightly difficult. This is a very basic design, so there shouldn't be anything too difficult there. Maybe explain about the lathe, how would you turn it on the lathe? That would obviously need to be explained here. I haven't done that. A few more diagrams if need be to help with that explanation. Move on to 2 and 3 pages if you have to. But remember, this is the possible solution 1. It's not your final design. Your next one needs to be better than it. And it needs to be an improvement on the first one. It can't be a totally new solution. It needs to be improvements made to this. So we would probably take this and we would add the detail of rounding the corners, rounding the feet. Now that will be 2 changes, that will be loads for possible solution 2. Explain how it's made again there, what will be done differently. Obviously you don't need to explain all the stuff you've explained here in the first explanation, but you need to talk about the things that would need to be done differently in order to change this. So you're talking about rounding these corners and shaping the feet. Then you move on to your third possible design. And the third possible design will be an improvement on number 2. So you would need to figure out a way to do that, maybe more elaborate stem, or maybe you'll offset the stem so that the tabletop would reach in over the edge of a seat, that it's more over the person rather than at their side. You're getting a long way down the line now, depending on your own ideas. This could all change. Maybe there will be feet could be bent. Instead of doing flat, straight feet like these, you could do curves. So you could bend the feet. That would be a nice difference. Maybe you could bend the stem. Maybe you could put the top together in a frame rather than in just one piece. This, of course, would all depend on your design. This would be nice if you did something like that, because it will be a nod towards tangential sawing. If your tabletop looked like that, that would be very nice indeed. But like I keep saying, this all depends on your own design. So there are just a few ideas and an effort to show you the detail needed in your possible designs. So I hope this has helped.